He said take a village to raise a child. But what if the village is retarded?
So, in case you didn't know, I know people are, talking what they normally talk about. I ain't here to knock the hustle. Okay. Basically, Ukraine and Russia, man. They at the throes, man, of something serious, man. Um, they've been going back and forth for it'll be, I think it'll be 10 years, 2028, I believe. I think they started. I think they might even started before that. I have to look at the timeline, but in the last, we'll say 48 hours, 24 hours, uh, basically, Ukrainians drone strike basically a Russian bomber base, long-term strategic bomber base with basically the equivalent of $300 or $400 drones. Basically, a series of cheap drones that's less than $1,000 a piece, $500 a piece, really. Um, Basically, destroy billions of dollars of Russian airplanes and bombers, and also even equipment. They blew up also basically some type of heavy weapon attackums. They call it attackums base, basically, or factory. Then they blew up a key bridge in Crimea. But I say all of that knowing that because I read articles every day. I'm very much into what's going on. Um, but honestly, I'm just saying what other people are already thinking about, have already said. I'm too I'm too financially strapped to really concern myself about it. I mean, I honestly, like, I ain't really worried about that shit, man. I can't. I got like basic problems that, like a lot of other people have, that I mean basically is like a very concerning very concerning to me, and I'm not doing the worst I've ever done. I'm doing the best I've ever done in my life, but it's still far fetched, or far from the average one percenter. I think in my age group, the to be 1%, I think you'd have to have like $7 million or something like that, $10 million, something like that. So it's like basically I don't really I'm just saying what the average person probably would is already thinking about, and is already have the same scenario issues. They have issues with trying to come up with the bill money, and paying old bills and credit cards and car repairs, and you need to put your car in the shop. It, like, stuff like that is basically a cause for concern for the average person. They ain't got no time to really worry about, okay, these people all the way over here blew up a bridge, or blew up some bombing bombers, Russian bombers. Because it's like basically it's basically something that I know is a concern. I know anytime, you know, shoot, Russia has the kablooey. They have a whole bunch of kablooies. And when I say kablooey, you understand what I mean by kablooey. And it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are concerned about like basic stuff. People still talking about relationships when basically the kabooey can go off. You know, the kabooey can be, pretty much detonated anytime people worried about basic shit because it's just that's what people tend to worry about, tend to concern themselves over. I mean, the average person, you gotta think like, right now, basically people are scrambling. A lot of the people that's getting social, like not social security, but getting Section 8, getting EBT, they damn near their eyeballs about to pop outside their head. The women, because a lot of these single moms, because they know pretty much they can kind of see the writing on the wall. They just passed, basically, I think it's called the Beautiful Bill or something like that. They're slashing Medicaid, they're slashing food stamps, and also making modifications to Section 8. Um, it's pretty much, it's a lot of the women have already talked about what their concerns are. They went to TikTok, which is basically the equivalent of the female beehive, and they expressed their concerns. you know and I saw a couple of the videos, few of the videos. One chick talking about, because basically they're cutting off dependents as young as like 7 years old. That's the cutoff. It used to be 18, now it's 7 years old. If you got any children over 7 years old, pretty much it's a wrap. As far as what I've heard, I don't know. Um, now, all of these things, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's some causes. It's some causes and effects to these circumstances. Not necessarily the Russian thing. The Russian thing and the Ukrainian thing is Ukrainian thing. These are basically, elites. Okay, the basically Putin is an elite. He's an oligarch. His cabinet. A lot of the people that are his constituents are, basically oligarchs, right? Ukraine is basically Ukraine, and I'm not going to go into detail about what Ukraine is and all of the intra details of all of that. You do your own homework, but basically, you know, let's just look. I'll just say it like this, and it's an elite versus an elite war. Okay, you could say Western elites versus Eastern elites. That I'll just leave it at that. I'll help you out. I'll slice the pie for you and shove it in your mouth. But that's what's going on. Okay, and basically, you know, uh, it's some changes in America. Like, I mean, um, it's some changes that I've seen as far as how women are pretty much kind of behaving. They're still who they are, but I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that I haven't been getting strange, reach backs. Like, women that I know in the past and whatnot are now all of a sudden acting strange, reaching out to me and shit. I'm not gonna I'll be lying to you if I told you that wasn't going on. Okay. And if you probably have the same type of thing kind of going on. You like wondering, why is this chick that ain't talked to you some years all of a sudden fucking trying to see how you doing and shit. And that's I've said it before. Even not even I'm not the one that originated the whole when I basically I've said many times that women in their, I guess, mating behavior for let's just to say uh, is associated with basically the economy. Okay, basically, um, a lot of how women react to the world around them is based off of how independent they could be. Uh, Capitalism is intertwined with feminism. There is pretty much just basically almost absolutely no um, conceivable way feminism can survive without capitalism. Okay. If you need any type of research, I can, basically insert any, country, like for example, the Dominican Republic or Cuba or um, you could even go to Jamaica if you want to go, and show you how people have to get down, how they live, banana trees, 10 10 roofs, wooden shacks. Okay. Um, very little capitalism to be independent with, you know. So a lot of times the reason why a lot of the I think the reason why they're trying to when I say they, I'm saying basically the white elites, they're trying to kind of dial this back. They're trying to dial back um a lot of these independent values that women have with this whole feminist thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing these layoffs with a lot of these women. A lot of the women are independent because they like, oh, I can get my check and I can just basically be a boss chick and, order unlimited DoorDash and get luxury living and all of this and, fuck men, and also fuck them babies too. And the elites, they be taking notes. They the ones got the purse strings, they got the wallets, they take notes and they like, oh, okay, gonna do this. All right, check, we're gonna do this. And then, okay, just look at it like I look at it like this. So the poorest of the women, they try to mimic, the boss babes, the boss chicks, the IG Lux baddies, and they do it with basically food stamps and basically government subsidies. They try to mimic that same type of lifestyle that they see from their favorite content creator with their, luxury leather seats, doing live streams in the car in their little Lux, you know, um, baddie Instagram lifestyle that they're portraying. They try to portray the same thing with their, with basically Uncle Sam, aka government subsidies. Okay, that's just what they do. Okay, from the poor women in America to the women that are boss babes. You know, I get the bag. Millionaire Lux baddies. You know, that's what's that's the wave, right? So I think that they're trying to pull the strings to a little bit of that, trying to kind of maybe be an interruption or you know um pull the rug, so to speak, from that. And I ain't really got no problems with it. Why would I? Why would I have any problems with that? I mean, I'm definitely not a panda bear or whatever. I mean, I've never been called a panda bear. Um, some I don't know. People probably I don't know. I don't know what people think of me. I really don't care, but definitely not a pander. One of the things, I was having some car issues and I was coming back from work and I was listening to BGS talking about the dude, I think I forgot his name, Dante something, I don't know. the dude with the grits and eggs podcast or whatever. He's the latest and greatest panda bear, that's coming up. And basically, like I said, like I told and said in the chat, I mean, basically a lot of dudes do the pandering. A pandering is a form of simping. Okay. It's a form, it's, some people call them white knights. Some people call them, like I remember back when it's about 2000, 2007, 2008, when Thug Titian, if you've been around YouTube for over a decade, you know who Thug Titian is. He used to call these guys pussy beggars. You know, I call them, like a lot of other dudes, I call them simps. It's a form of simping. Being a panderer, I'm gonna tell you what being a panderer is. Being a panderer or being a simp or a version of simping is pandering. It's a form, it's a mating strategy for lower tiered men. And when I say lower tiered men, it's primarily men that are a combination of fat and ugly, but not necessarily all men that are necessarily, or let's just say men that are not fat and ugly also do the same thing. It's a way to basically be basically a woman pleaser as a ability to get pussy, or maybe a fast track way to get more women to like you, to get box, okay, pussy, vagina, badge, whatever you want to call it. That's an old technique, okay. That's an old technique that was being done before I was born. I mean, that's been around for eons. Be nice to women, get path of badge. That's what a lot of guys do. Especially one of the things that I notice for sure, a lot of men that are basically a combination of poor, fat, and ugly. That's their lifeline. They have no other choice but to be a panderer. Matter of fact, a lot of women, a lot of men that I already know that are fat and ugly, I mean, and also broke, I automatically assume that that's their mating strategy. I mean, I don't think anything different. I mean, I know I done stole on about millions of dudes, but I've said many a times, even myself, I went through extreme measures to definitely lose weight. I changed my entire diet. I've done all kinds of things. And I mean, the thing is that one of the things that I have to remind, anybody that, basically cares, uh, you might take years to get your financial life in order. And what I mean by get your financial life in order, go from being broke to actually not broke. It takes years. It takes years usually, because you kind of, it's a multi-layered event, meaning you have to change the way you think, really, to be honest, for you to be successful. You have to change your mindset from being basically a person that buys liabilities to a person that buys assets. In order to actually change your mind to do that, you literally have to damn near, like, to be honest, a lot of this financial stuff is kind of like really red pill and blue pill and black pill too. Like the personal financial world is also, you could say, part of the fucking red pill or whatever. Because to be honest, the blue pill, basically, you being a sheeple, and that's how most people are. Most people are blue pill, financially speaking. And what I mean by that is you're trained to be a consumer slave, right? So basically, thinking in liabilities first. I'm buying liabilities, which is the equivalent of I'm buying bills. We're trained by basically watching our parents usually to buy bills. The wealthy and rich buy assets that produce income. That's it. That I don't even have to say anymore. Literally, that is it. I mean, that is not it, but it's more to it, a lot more to it, but that's the general synopsis of it. And that's what we're mostly trained to do is be consumer slaves and buy liabilities that take away future assets, usually through some type of interest, right? Go buy a car, it's got interest, it you know, you overpaying for it over time. There you go, right? Buying clothes, cars, and all of this stuff. These are liabilities that do not produce any income or future income for yourself. So you basically, what I'm saying is, a lot of people are trained to buy bills. You going out, go get a car, not just getting a car. Like when I drive down the street and I see all of these nice cars, and I have to remind myself that car is a nice car note. It's not a, it's a nice car, but most likely the person that's driving it, woman or man, is paying a car payment. And it's basically it's a bill on wheels. So when you go out, I know it's nice. I know people try to pretend, people live in make believe, pretend world, right? People are pretentious and that's what they do. I know you'll listen to this in a playback. Don't worry. I ain't worried about it. You know, I'm giving you that hot fire. Okay. That's what most people are doing, and you're driving a bill on wheels. I've done it. I got about, a couple more payments, about $1,000 to pay off my car, and it's breaking the fuck down. I mean, all of a sudden, I went like 2 years, and then final payments, the motherfucker is damn near breaking down. And I had no problems with the fucking car. All I had to do was press the button and go, and then all of a sudden, down to the like $1,000 payment or $1,000 balance, couple more payments away, damn car is breaking the fuck down. But anyway, the thing is, it's a bill on wheels. Okay, go get a car, bill on wheels. Go get credit cards, liabilities, right? If you use your credit cards to buy income, like you can use a credit card to pay for a house to be fixed up and be put on the market to be sold, right? um you could do other things. You could use your credit card to buy assets to sell, right? To resell, right? But most people use their credit cards to basically buy goods, pay for services, and that's what they're typically used for. And it's not necessarily used to basically give you any income in the future. So it's basically a debt. It's future debt. It's future bills. So it's right. And then also interest bearing, meaning it's accruing interest for those expenses, right? Those credit cards expenses, right? House, the same thing, right? Your house is a bill every single month, and I've done calculations on mortgages over 30 years, and I understand it's a necessary thing for a lot of people, but it's a bill. It's a glorified bill, and it's not necessarily giving you any type of income unless you're renting out some rooms or you're renting the house out. It's giving you basically uh a place to live, which is great, but it's not necessarily, unless you're doing those things, renting the rooms out or renting the house out. It's basically a bill every month, and it's accruing interest, and the interest is the most interest that you ever pay in your life is from a house, from a mortgage on a house. Typically, the calculations are 1.5. So you're you borrow $100,000, you're going to pay 1.5 back over 30 years. So basically, after 30 years, you get a house for $150,000. Um, you're going to pay 300. You're going to pay $300,000 plus another, like a half of that 150, which is about 75. You're going to pay basically $375,000 back from that $150,000 original amount. It doesn't matter. It take 30 years. It's still the same net amount that is going to get, that the bank, is going to get from you, for paying for that house that originally was $150,000. And that's how these things work. That's why the rich gets richer, right? And they say what? The poor gets poorer. And you could even say, basically the middle class is alive, right? The middle class is definitely alive. Typical middle class is what they say is 50 grand. That's a lie. That's basically programming. You know, that's all that is programming. Because basically, if you're literally drowning if that's how much you make. The true middle class is more close to this, actually. There it goes. You know, this is the true middle class. The middle class that we taught in school, or if you take economics or finance, it's a lie. It's propaganda. You could just say it's propaganda. We've been had. We've been bamboozled, led astray. Because in the terms of what we're taught in school, or what we're taught in the economic texts and all of that, is 50K, or between 50K and 100K is middle class. Um, it's not true, because basically, if you think about the rich and poor, the middle in that 50 to 100,000. It's no way. It's no way. You're not rich if you make 50 to $100,000. You're not nowhere near it. You're not nowhere in the. You're not in the stratosphere of being in the middle. You know, and according to that, look at this here chart here that I pay for to show you. You know, and I'm not rich, but I'm doing all right. I've set myself up well for myself, where you know I can pay for my hobbies. This is my hobby. You know what I'm saying? This is one of my hobbies. My many hobbies that I pay for. Other people play PS5. I'm on YouTube. I got a YouTube channel and a StreamYard account. But the thing is that, yeah, we've been hijacked to believe that. But nevertheless, going back to what I originally said, it's hard to get out of debt. You got to change your mind. It's hard to go from broke to not broke. Like it takes years usually. A lot of paperwork, a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, a lot of consistency to get out of basically debt. If you got the debt, to make more money and hustle and save, and change your mindset from being a consumer slave, basically, to basically you're training yourself to be rich, because in order to be rich, you have to enrich yourself, right? So how do you enrich yourself? Every concept or every dollar that you have, you try to spin it towards enriching yourself, because you have two options, and that's where the consumer slaves come in. You either enrich others or you enrich yourself. Most people enrich others. You're taught and programmed and watch your parents enrich others. In order to enrich yourself, you have to enrich yourself. And that's where the assets, buying assets that are income, allow you to do that. And that's what we're not taught in any school. I don't care if it's high school. I don't care if, you know, grammar school, not taught that. College, not taught that really, unless you maybe some colleges. I would have say I don't know. I've never been to all of the colleges, so I don't know. But most of the colleges in grammar school and high school are not. They're not trying to teach you to enrich yourself. That's something that you have to learn how to deprogram yourself. Like I said, to be not blue pill financially, not be blue pill financially, be more red pill, you know, financially red pill, to actually deprogram yourself away from that, to deprogram your mind to basically enrich yourself, to be asset focused, asset income focused, buying assets, which is primarily for the use of income, so you can enrich yourself. So these are the things that this is what, like I said, these are the things that I had to reprogram my brain. Uh, you know, it took me decades to do so, right? So those things take time. But going back to health, you can instantly become more healthy. You can instantly take measurements like change your diet, walk more, start running. I'm gonna be starting running pretty soon, hopefully. I'm basically probably gonna be running regularly. I'll have to see how things go, but you can drastically change your life rapidly health wise. You can literally you can lose whatever 50 pounds, 100 pounds within 6 months to a year. You can instantly change your diet. You can instantly reformulate your entire body. You could look a lot healthier. You could actually be healthier instantly. I know. I've done it. So I'm saying, like, these two things, right? Like, versus, trying to get your financial life in order versus getting healthy and slimmer and more healthy. Being slimmer and healthy is very easier to do versus getting rich. Getting rich is very, very difficult. The chips are stacked. The deck is definitely stacked. It's very difficult. It's like in the words of Sergeant Willie Pete, they don't want to pay nobody. Yeah, those all of those factors and hurdles you have to deal with and overcome in the jaws of capitalism in America. Like, you have to deal with all of those things, and then if you're black, you got to overcome all of the issues and dealing with that type of reality in America, right? So it's very. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but being healthy and losing weight, not be a fat fuck, you can easily do that versus trying to get enrich yourself and trying to get out of debt and all of that. Those things are very, very difficult to do. Getting healthy and losing some weight, losing some belt sizes and pant sizes and stuff like that, like, that's a lot easier to do. I'm saying probably within 6 months to a year, you could look totally different. health wise. And I'm just saying, you know, those things are, in my opinion, a lot easier to do than get your financial life in order. A lot of people financially have bad habits. That's why they have a bad financial, you know, life. You know, they don't have the understanding. They don't, you know, if your parents are probably lower middle class, or you know, the old value of middle class or whatever, or poor, a lot of times people, they take on the same habits that their parents have. People tend to take on the same class as their parents because you're programmed to be like your parents, okay, good or bad, right? So unfortunately, trying to step away from that is very difficult. Like for me, it's been extremely difficult because I literally had to be, I had to be like Machiavelli as far as like just living a whole different life, because the things I've done, both of my parents would never have done. They wouldn't have took the risk. You know, I just basically, man, I just, you damn near call me a fucking whatever you want to call me, because I mean, I basically did things that most people wouldn't do. You know, took certain financial risks or took life risks that most people would never take. And it's still, and it does not stop. I'm still, you know, gotta stick and move. So the thing is, those things are hard. Financially speaking, I would say that realm is very, very difficult. Getting healthy, changing your life, changing your mindset, uh living a better, wholesome, healthy life, you can start tomorrow, and within a couple months you could have a totally different reality. You know, deciding, okay, I'm gonna take a walk every day, you know, about an hour or two, and then I'm gonna come back, and then I'm gonna do the same thing over again, and I'm gonna try to take away, eliminate the pop, you know, as much as I possibly can. Drink more juice. Actually, maybe buy a juicer and actually make your own juice. Drink more water. You know, do some yoga, do some meditation. You know, pray. Do some healthy, do some journaling. You know, all of these things can literally transform your life instantly. It doesn't cost all these things don't cost no money hardly whatsoever. You know, and then that's the other thing about it. It doesn't cost no money. You know, you might even save money, right? Because you're not eating all of that, you know, nasty, you know, or not. I ain't gonna say nasty. I'll just say high caloric, high starch, high fatty foods, right? You know, and that stuff is expensive, right? You go like McDonald's. I remember I used to go to McDonald's and shit. I don't have any reason to go to McDonald's now because McDonald's don't even have vegetarian options. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the things about McDonald's is very easy for, obviously they took certain corporate measures to be like, you know what, the whole vegetarian movement and go fuck themselves. Now, Burger King does have some. It's not that great. Possible Whopper kind of it sucks ass, really, to be honest. But I mean, you know, if you're hungry, you're hungry. But that stuff ain't really healthy for you because you drinking high fructose corn syrup basically, and the fries ain't necessarily healthy either. And a lot of people like some of my people that I know that been vegetarian or vegan for a long time, they say the possible Whopper is not really that healthy for you either. So I mean, the thing is, they do have something, but you know, McDonald's and even Wendy's, they don't really have nothing for no vet. They don't market. You could tell companies they don't really try. They're not really trying to market the whole vegetarian vegan wave. But you know, the thing is, it's no reason for me to go to McDonald's. But I remember going to McDonald's, and I remember how ridiculous that shit was getting. You go like to get a Whopper meal. you're paying what used to cost the same price that you used to be able to get a steak dinner for in the 90s. You're spending that for a fucking um Big Mac meal. You know, I remember that shit. Like you spending if you go into like McDonald's in a mall or something, you because you know different restaurants cost more depending on where they're located, right? So you go to the mall, you go to McDonald's, and or you go to like a you know uh, like a highway oasis. You spend 13, $14, $15 for a fucking McDonald's Big Mac meal. You know that's a price for a steak, some potatoes, and some side of veggies, with a pop or a soda or whatever, at Red Lobster in the 90s. That's how much that was. I remember. You know what I'm saying? And you spending that for fucking McDonald's for Big Mac. That's how crazy things are, you know, because of prices or whatever, inflation and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, man, absolutely ridiculous, and you know, people doing it because they you know they that's what they do. But I mean, it's like, yeah, I still think it's ridiculous, you know. But I like I say, I have no reason to go to McDonald's other than occasionally to get a coffee or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no point. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily go. So a lot of time you could save money, you know, by like I say, changing your diet, and it's easy to do. Very very easy. It just takes you just gotta take it one day at a time. But it's easier to do versus trying to deal with money problems, deal with financial problems, because one of the reason I have to say one of the key things, in my opinion, why dealing with financial problems is very, very difficult to do is because America is very heavily economically controlled. Okay. Um, you know, I just can't point that out enough. I mean, America's very, very much, I mean, let's go back to this chart here. America is very, very much highly economically controlled. Okay. That's why they don't, the whole, you know, hashtag, they don't want to pay nobody, you know, because it's very, very highly economically controlled. If you look at, they have a chart, they have every country has a wealth distribution chart or wealth distribution index. Actually, I think it's called like the Gini um coefficient or index or something like that it's called, that basically they basically rate different countries. You know, the US, it has it's very very far off from other countries as far as wealth distribution. You know, it's so because America does a lot of gatekeeping and it does a lot of red tape. To be honest, if you could get money in America, like let's just say, if you can get $100,000, if you can get $100,000 in America, basically, if you can get money, you can make more money easily in America because there's a lot of red tape in America, right? For example, okay, stocks. You know, the PDT rule, pattern day trading rule. Um, that rule is basically to eliminate basically brokies from trading in the stock market, from actually day trading. You don't have 25K or more in your account, you cannot day trade. So that eliminates most people from actually being able to actually get in and out of trades and make the most money that you could possibly make, because you got to understand, if you're able, the ability for you to actually get in and out of the market, that ability can allow you to get as much money as you want out of the market anytime you want, and you know, close out trades anytime you want. So that ability should make you more money, right? versus if you're stuck in a particular trade or a particular stock that you can't even trade because you got to hold it because you can't because you got more than three interday trading cycles in a week. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that, and just if you have money, you could actually make more money easily in America um versus other countries. But a lot of times the barrier of people actually getting money in America is very, very difficult because most people they're in a pattern where they're basically they make wages. So those wages, unless you're able to save that money and actually invest it and build up small amounts over time, you could forget about it. You get locked into whatever wage you get, and then you getting, paid every week or 2 weeks, and then you're, basically living check to check because you're maxing your expenses and you're paying for your bills, and you're not saving anything, so therefore you're not investing in anything, and that's why it's very, very difficult and very, like I say, America's very highly economically controlled, so it's very difficult for a lot of people to deal with all of that because you actually have to have a system to deal with all of that, and that's why I really love my book, because that book is a way for you to kind of deal with this system, and actually have some type of way that you can win inside the system, because you kind of need a system to deal with this system. But nevertheless, like I said before, you know, to me, honestly, hands down, it's a lot easier to be like you could have the body of a Greek god in about 6 months to a year with the right determination, dedication, and consistency, getting your financial life in order, unless you get like a surplus of capital, and then in the midst of that you start learning and trading your blue pill mindset towards more of like a red pill financial mindset, where you train your brain to automatically think investing first and thinking, you know, business investing versus just being an employee and buying things that you like buying with your paycheck, and then not saving anything and buying, debts that basically provide no income but take away your future income. um you can pretty much forget trying to, basically, um getting any type of opportunity to enrich yourself. Unfortunately, it's kind of fixed like that. Like it's almost, a lot of people are programmed to, just like I say, be consumer slaves to the rich, basically. That's the way this shit works, and when you get out the matrix, let's just say the financial matrix, and you go the opposite direction of that, and you think, okay, I'm going to enrich myself. I'm not going to be some, permanent consumer slave, not concerning about trying to please others, buying overpriced shit, trying to pretend like I'm rich. I'm just gonna actually try to slowly but surely, or whatever, just be rich. You know what I'm saying? And that takes time. Like that takes it's a certain mindset. Like I say, that's, getting outside the matrix, of you being a consumer slave. It's a totally different lifestyle and also mindset to, get past all of that. So it takes time, and a lot of people got a lot of debt, so that takes time to pay that off. Um and invest and slowly, get, financially successful, right? It takes time. It usually takes time. Depending on how much you make, what you're doing in life, it takes time, man. I remember my friend, one of my homies I grew up with, he was a mailroom clerk, and for years, like I mean, almost a decade, and he saw me going to work in IT, and I was, we grew up together pretty much, damn near. And he saw I could do it. He saw what I was doing, and he went to like some tech school or something like that. Got him a plus, and man, dude got into IT, man. Started making more money, and then started driving, because he went years without driving, decades without driving, and he just changed his whole life, man. He saw his homie do it, and he like, man, I know I'm just as smart, if not smarter than my homie. I can do it. If I see him do it, I know I could do it. He's already fixing computers and repairing computers and building stuff. You know, what I'm saying, he was already working with it, so he seen me working with it, and he changed his life, man. He just got into tech, and he saw me doing it, and he just did it, and he's still in it. He's still in tech, man, and probably making money. I ain't really talked to him, but I'm sure he doing good, cause it just it take time though, man. Sometimes you gotta kind of deal with the imposter syndrome, and you know thinking that you can't do something. Also, even believing that you could actually have that outcome. A lot of people they have imposter syndrome about them actually becoming they people have imposter syndrome about them actually being rich and wealthy. They don't believe that they can actually be rich and wealthy. I will tell you, I don't have imposter syndrome when it comes to that, because in very small amounts, I'm already believe I'm rich and wealthy. Like, I have small amounts of it. I don't have a lot of riches and wealth, but I have very, very small amounts. So I already believe that I have moderately made progressions to kind of slowly achieve that. And I talk the walk, and I walk the walk, like, and talk the talk. Like, I don't necessarily believe I can't. I fit in a room, of wealthy people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel any imposter syndrome in that regard at all. It's just actually getting the money and the actual, successes in that. It usually takes time. And it takes a lot of inner work and outer work to get to that point where you are doing well, usually as an investor or a businessman or a woman. It takes time to actually get to a level where you consistent with all of that. And you need capital to do it. It's not fictitious or anything. It's not coming out of the sky. You need to, basically, you need some capital to build and grow with those things, with business, with investments. You know what I'm saying? It's not just something that's a pie in the sky. You actually need to have some type of capital to make capital. So those things, man, like I say, in my opinion, very, very difficult to overcome. I'm still trying to get myself together with that. Health, you can change, man, in 6 months, man. You can change your whole diet. Like I say, you can change your entire body, the way it looks and everything like that. um there's lots of things that you could take to help you achieve those goals as well. There's all kinds of things out there to help. it's just it's very, very easy in my opinion. It's just people don't want to take the effort to do it because they, one, don't know. I think people don't know. People are not taught. They're not taught how to detox, how to fast. They're not taught how to eat healthy. They're not taught how to cook healthy. They're not motivated to take walks, to run, to jog, to get on an exercise bike. Um, they got friends that do the same thing, which is eat nice meals, nice wholesome meals, and go to sleep. You know, and that they wake up and then they walking around looking like the Oompa Loompas from you know Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and shit. That's just how it goes. Like you do need a certain level of motivation. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if it's from somebody else. You do need so a lot of people I think they do need a certain level of motivation. But I'll say this, um basically when it comes down to it, a lot of people when it comes to like, kind of going scaling up financially is you got two things that you gotta keep in mind. This is what I was thinking about um for a while, for a day or two now. Is one of the things is you you really dealing with your imagination realm. I did a live stream and I talked about, the imagination, the power of imagination. And then the second thing, because all of the future, the past is the past. If you was broke 1 minute ago, if you busted, 1 minute ago, you most likely busted right now. Okay, in the present. Only thing is the future. Okay, and the future is the imagination realm. Okay, that is the imagination realm because you don't know what's gonna happen next week, next month. You can strategize, you can plan, but you don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. And the thing is you can use your imagination to manifest that. It's possible. Many people have done it, and I ain't no different. Your imagination is more powerful than anything. Okay. And you using that power of imagination, using your mindset, using your imagination to actually achieve the actual goal that you want to accomplish. And another aspect of your future is, and I haven't talked about this enough, and this is, probably I'm gonna really, this is very, very important, is hope. Okay, good old fashioned hope. Like, because yeah, you could imagine things, you can strategize for things and study and do the research and do the work, but the level of what the uncertainty of life is and what could possibly go awry and all of that is, basically you hoping that you do get that particular outcome, hoping that you could overcome any obstacles, because there's going to be some obstacles. So the element of hope is also intertwined with your strategy, with your goal setting, with your imagination. That inkling of hope that you can possibly get to that point is the only thing really you have for the future. That's why a lot of people I think give up, and what I'm saying, do whatever, because they give up, they give up on hope, the idea that possibly they can get through this, and hope is very, very important for the future. Like you need hope in order to actually get through those tough times, to get through those uncertainties, levels of uncertainties, and you know, to get through that actual, you know, trying to strategize, actually implement those strategies through action. You do need the glimmer of hope in order to do those things, right? So that's what I have to, kind of say. I just, wanted to go live to kind of just, kind of talk about some things that's on my mind. Yeah, I mean, I hope Ukraine and Russia get it together, get things, together. But unfortunately, I mean, I got too many other concerns that's just day to day that I can't, I ain't got no room to even think about the stuff. Got no room to even think about it. Like, I mean, it's a concern. I mean, I hope the best for them, but it's like, I mean, unfortunately, like day to day, like basic shit, it's kicking my ass, unfortunately. And I hate that it is the way it is, and it's unfortunate, but you know, like I said, I'm not the only one, and it just is what it is. I mean, it's crazy, like, cause my uncle, he was like, man, it's about to be World War III and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. I read the news, like I know what the hell, I saw, and all of that. I was even talking about, you know, shit. They got, the Russians got a nuclear missile called Satan 2. I mean, if you ain't in the right headspace, don't watch a video on what actually Satan 2 is, because it's gonna probably fuck your head up. But yeah, they got this motherfucking missile that supposedly can get basically launched and hit New York in 5 minutes. I mean, like I saw the shit on Twitter, okay, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I got like I'm out here, man, what I'm saying, I ain't getting shit, man. Ain't nobody giving me nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no shorts and no losses out here, man. I got to get down how I live, like a dollar, you know what I'm saying? $1 at a time, unfortunately. And it's fucked up, man. I'm not the only one, but unfortunately, man, it's like it is what it is, man. I gotta motherfucking get it, the best way I can. And it's like I can't even concern myself over all that shit, man. It's crazy, but yeah, it's people, man, dying. It's people, man, getting blown up and shit. It's people at war, and motherfuckers trying to motherfucking fix their tire and shit so they can get to work. You know what I'm saying? They trying to wash their clothes and shit, wash their ass. Pay they gas bills so they can wash their ass. Because you definitely need hot water to wash your ass. In case you didn't know, I mean, you technically could use cold water, but ain't nothing like some hot water to wash your ass. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I mean, I just had to say the obvious, give you a little inspiration. You know what I'm saying? It's been about a week or two, and I just had to come on here, give you some so you can give you some therapy, some words of therapy so you can go to sleep. That's all. I'm just lending a favor, for others, because I mean, some people I listen to, it kind of, they kind of give me the same type of energy, and that's cool, man. I go to sleep, man, listening to some, people, complaining about some shit, and it's like, yeah, I'm just trying to return the favor.
I'm better than all of you, and I'm not tolerating anything broke this year. I'm not tolerating broke people, broke thoughts, broke responsibilities, or anything broke.